how to corner. In this video, I'm gonna walk you guys through the best techniques I've learned over more than a decade of racing of how to corner.
Bro!
Have you ever heard the term jump for show, corner for dough? That's because the time's made up in the corners and not the jumps, generally. But there are so many different types of corners. Where do you even start? You've got berms, you've got flat corners, you've got off cambers, you've got berms that are not quite steep enough to really push in. You've got berms that you can just send it into and not have to think about it. You've got 90s, you've got 180s, they've got high speed, you've got slow speed. There are so many different types of corners and every corner has got a slightly different technique, but for me, I think it all comes down to the basics, which would be flat corners or if you've got a berm. Before you even think about heading out on the trail, just go onto your road in front of your house and practice your technique on the flat ground. Generally, you want to, on flat surfaces, when you're on a flat corner or off camber, you want to have your outside foot down, as this is going to put more weight onto the outside of the bike, so you can lean the bike over, keep your body still more upright than the bike is, but you can still keep that weight on the outside foot. Super important, especially in a low traction situation. If you are in a berm, this is not as important because you've got so much support. You can keep your feet level and just punch in and out of the berms, no worries. But starting out, just start out on your road. You can even put some cones down and just practice that right, left, practice switching your feet. Practice leaning the bike over as far as you can and feel comfortable. But it's very important to practice feeling where the grip is and feeling how far you can lean that bike. Because if you lean it too much and you lean with the bike and you get to the point where the bike starts to slide, then you go down. But if the bike is leaned more than you are, then even if the bike starts sliding, you can control it and keep yourself upright. Before you even get going, it would be awesome if you guys like the video, if you guys subscribe, hit that like button. It makes a huge difference to the channel. And as you can see, my channel is relatively small. I'm trying to grow it, so any support would be greatly appreciated. How to corner. And I don't mean cut corners. I know what you guys are thinking. Just, I'm watching you. Hit the like button. So I'm gonna break it down now. Once you've practiced on the road and you've got your technique as you feel as good as you can, then in my opinion, the best place to move to would be a pump track, because a pump track offers you, normally it's got berms, so you won't be able to practice the flat corners, but that's why you've done it on the road already. But the pump track offers you loads of turns that you can practice over and over and over and over and over until your head spins. It's also a relatively safe environment because you can start slow and build your way up. It's normally close to town, so you don't have to travel too far. It's also safe from the elements, more or less. So even if it's rained the day before, it'll dry up and you can just go and ride. Whereas if you don't feel like going out in the mud, this is a way you can get around that. We'll start off with the entry of the corner. So when you're coming into a corner, no matter if it's flat, off camber, berm, as a general rule, you want to come in a bit wider, which is going to allow you more room to turn. You want to give yourself as much room, much like a Formula One track or a racing car. They come in wide and then, go towards the apex of the turn and then want to, I'm not a race car driver, but you get the idea. So you want to come in wider and give yourself room. If you come in on the inside, it's going to be a terrible idea because you're going to end up too tight. You're going to have to brake in the middle of the turn, which is not what you want to do. You want to get your braking done before you turn. So on the entry, as you're setting up nice and wide, you want to get your braking done and then release the brakes before you get to the apex. And that is going to create that exit speed that you want. Once you've got your entry into the turn, you want to get into that apex and into that midpoint where you're turning. And you want to keep your body weight nice and central. And if you are in a berm at this point, you want to be able to push out of the berm with your legs in the midpoint, which is going to generate more speed, especially if you're on a pump track, but even if you're out on the trail. A berm's a berm. So you want to kind of come in, centered on the bike, keep your legs slightly bent, and when you're getting to that apex, that's when you want to push into your legs, which is going to generate that exit speed. Now, it's a bit different if it's a flat corner, because when you're getting to the midpoint of the corner, you won't be able to push because you'll be focused on keeping traction. Because if it's a flat turn or off camber, the most important thing is to keep traction. So keep that outside foot down, keep the weight on it, which is going to keep you arcing nicely around that corner. And if it's a flat corner, you want to keep the arc as smooth as possible. because as soon as you have a tight turn, that is when you're going to break traction. And with your braking, you want to be very careful on your braking. If you're in a berm, it's not as crucial because you've got support. But if you're on a flat corner, as soon as you touch those brakes, you are going to lock the wheels and you're going to lose traction, which could mean you end up hitting the deck, which I have done many a time. Focus on that as you've had your entry point nice and wide, and then you just carry that through. It should be one smooth motion, nothing too drastic. If it's a berm, you don't want to go low, so you want to be, but you don't want to be going over the top of the berm either. So you want to be nicely in the middle of the berm, come in wide, stay in the middle of the berm, and on the exit, you want to drop slightly more to the inside. That's just me at least. So once you've pushed off with your legs, then you want to drive slightly more to the inside of the berm, which is going to give you a nice quick exit once you've got that movement going, and you're going to carry that out onto the rest of the trail. If it's a flat corner, you don't really have that opportunity to push out with your legs, so you just keep that arc going nice and well, but you don't want to come out too wide of the corner because you're going to end up getting to the edge of the track and risk going off track. So always give yourself more room on the outside. So when you're coming into the corner, more room on the inside. When you're coming out of the corner, give yourself more room on the outside, because that is the momentum that you're going to have going away. As you're coming out of the corner, you're going to be pushing out. So just that's something to keep in mind. But essentially, that is the basic cornering technique. There are obviously many different ways that this can be done, depending on the trail conditions, whether it's muddy, dry, dusty, steep, flat, slow, fast. But essentially, those are the basics. That should get you guys well on your way to absolutely ripping turns. And if you found this video useful, then hit that like and subscribe button and check out the other how-to videos I have right up here.